This fall, Spokane schools will start phasing elementary students back into classrooms. Students will be phased in one grade level at a time, starting with the kindergartners on Wednesday, October 7th. Before we welcome students back to school, the district's facility services staff would like you to go over how to provide a safe and clean environment for your students. In this video, you'll learn about general disinfection strategies, your classroom cleaning caddy, disinfecting your classroom and its high-touch areas, hand sanitizer, and electrostatic disinfection. We're so glad to have our students back, and what you are about to learn will help keep you and your students safe and healthy while at school. General disinfection strategies. Please keep your students' desk surfaces clean by disinfecting once a day, or more if you need to. You'll know what time works best for cleaning desks based on the activities you have planned during the day, whether it's during recess, after lunch, after certain messy activities, or at the end of the day. Since your students will generally stick to their desks, the best way to keep the desks clean is to keep the students clean. You can do this by making sure your students wash their hands frequently and use hand sanitizer when they enter the room. The sharing of supplies or manipulatives should be kept to an absolute minimum, but if students do share, you should disinfect those items before they're used again. You can also set them aside and have no one use them for a minimum of 3 days. Your classroom cleaning caddy. Each classroom will have its own classroom cleaning caddy. Caddies will include one Alpha HP spray bottle, one Oxivir 5 spray bottle, nitrile gloves, disinfecting wipes, and single-fold towels. Make sure you follow the manufacturer's recommendations when using the disinfectant sprays. They're located right on the bottles. The Alpha HP spray can be used for general cleaning and routine disinfection when time isn't a factor, like at the end of the day. Alpha HP has a 10-minute dwell time, meaning the time it takes for the disinfectant to kill a specific germ, in this case, the virus that causes COVID-19. The Oxivir 5 has a dwell time of 5 minutes, so it may be better to use when you're short on time, like during recess or when your students are with a specialist. Both disinfectants have very low toxicity ratings by the EPA and don't require a specific PPE while you're using them. Heads up, the single-fold towels provided in your caddy are not to be used on computer screens. Make sure your cleaning caddy is in a highly visible and accessible location, but not so accessible that our younger students can get into it. If you're running low on cleaning caddy supplies, talk with your school's head custodian. They can help you with replenishing them. At many schools, the evening shift custodian will swap out empty or almost empty spray bottles or other supplies, hence why it's important to keep your caddy highly visible. You'll also be able to exchange your empty or almost empty spray bottles at a designated location in your school during the day if that's easier for you. It may be at the custodial office or the main office. It all depends on your school. Just ask your custodian or office manager. Disinfecting your classroom. Before you can start disinfecting, you need to prepare the area you want to clean first. For flat surfaces, remove as many items as you can and make sure any food or food containers are covered or removed from the area. Check for any visible particles, fluids, or other contaminants on the surface. If there are any soiled surfaces, pre-clean them with some Alpha HP and a separate cloth. Now it's time to clean. Once you've put on your gloves and chosen a disinfectant based on the time you have, either the Alpha HP or the Oxivir 5, make sure the spray nozzle is adjusted so it lets out a fine, consistent mist. Apply the disinfectant so it leaves behind a thin and uniformly wet surface. Spray all the surfaces in the classroom, desk by desk, row by row, before returning to wipe. Make sure you give the disinfectant enough dwell time. If you're cleaning at the end of the day, consider leaving the disinfectant to dry naturally. If you're not doing that, then start wiping at the area you first used the disinfectant. Gently wipe the surface to remove excess disinfectant. No need to wipe the surface until it's bone dry. Instead, you'll want to leave it slightly wet. Whatever remains will dry naturally in a few minutes. Disinfecting high-touch areas. In addition to cleaning flat surfaces like desks and countertops, you'll also be asked to disinfect the high-touch areas around the classroom. Things like chairs, door handles, anything else your students touch frequently. For those areas, instead of spraying directly onto the surface, spray onto one of your towels and go ahead and wipe the area. Please do not spray disinfectant into lock sets, electrical switches, keypads, or anything else that can be damaged or fouled by liquids or residues. Your evening custodian will do additional disinfection of classroom high-touch areas during their evening rounds, like sink handles and faucets, water fountains, light switches, door handles, and pencil sharpeners. When you're applying the disinfectant with your towel, make sure it leaves behind a thin and uniformly wet surface. When wiping it off, again, don't strive for a dry surface. Leave a slightly wet surface that will go ahead and dry in a few minutes. Hand sanitizer. All schools will be equipped with 1-gallon hand sanitizer bottles in common areas and classrooms for students and staff to quickly disinfect their hands if they can't immediately use soap and warm water. If your classroom is starting to run low on hand sanitizer, please follow the normal supply ordering protocols to get more. Custodians will be in charge of reordering the sanitizer used in the common areas. When you get your hand sanitizer bottle, do not throw away the blue metering collar that's attached to the pump. This collar will help limit the amount of hand sanitizer that is dispensed with each pump. Talk with your custodian if you're not sure your sanitizer bottle has one or needs one. Please keep a close eye on your bottle to make sure the sanitizer is not hitting the floor or the counter. It will damage the finishes. If sanitizer does get on the floor or counter, wipe it up immediately. Placing a paper towel under the bottle can go a long way in helping. Electrostatic disinfection. In the event a widespread disinfection response is needed at the school, Custodial Services staff will likely use one of the district's electrostatic disinfection systems. These systems will allow custodians to perform full surface disinfection to entire rooms. That's top, bottom, all the way around, simply by pointing and spraying. If a widespread disinfection response is scheduled at your school, you will receive an email from the facilities department asking you to help prepare your classroom for the cleaning happening that evening. The email will have specific instructions on how to prepare your classroom, such as make sure to clear surfaces to the greatest extent possible, remove any food containers, coffee mugs, utensils, anything that goes in or near your mouth from the classroom. Putting it in a closed drawer or cabinet works in a pinch. Take any classroom pets home for the evening. Cover classroom aquariums with a towel or blanket. The electrostatic disinfection spray doesn't take long to dry, so you'll be safe to re-enter your disinfected classroom the next morning. If this felt like a lot to take in, don't worry. Your school's custodians are around to help answer any questions you might have. And again, thank you so much for helping keep our schools clean and safe for our students.